Hello, dear students. Welcome to the online lecture for MA English Literature. Today, our poem is the poem we are going to study is Toads, written by Philip Larkin. As in the previous video, we have discussed about the poet Philip Larkin and about his style of poetry. He was born on 9 August 1922 and died on 2 December 1985. This poem is a nine stanza poem, and this stanza begins. The first stanza begins with a rhetorical question. The poem begins with the speaker describing how there is one thing that plagues him, means that teases him more than anything else, and the one thing is a toad. Toad here in this poem, toad here refer not only to an amphibian creature, but here the word toad is used as a metaphor to depict or to symbolize work or exterior obligations, or we can say financial pressure also. In this poem, the speaker discusses his own unhappiness and lack of satisfaction with his situation. And as I have told you that it is a 9 stanza poem, and every stanza contains 4 lines and makes a combination of quatrains. In the poem, there is no specific pattern used by the poet, and as on your screen you can see the text of the poem. This poem is included in the collection of his second volume of poems named The Less Deceived. And as you can see, the first stanza starts with a rhetorical question. So let's start to read the poem. Why should I let the toad work squat on my life? Can't I use my wit as a pitchfork and drive the brute off? So, in this poem, the poet here asks the reader a question, and as I have told you here, you should make in mind that toad here is used for the work that make anyone fatigued. So here the poet is not happy with his situation, and he is asking, why should I let the toad work squat on my life? Squat is a styling pattern or is a walking pattern of toad. So here the poet is so desperate that he is asking himself that why should I allow the work or the exterior obligations make my life become pathetic. And in the next 2 lines, he is uh, himself giving a suggestion. Can't I use my wit as a pitchfork and drive the brute off? Pitchfork means equipment that is used to drive out the weeds in agriculture field. So we can say that pitchfork is a type of sickle, and he is saying that can't I use my wit, means can I use my wit, my wisdom as sickle, as an equipment that is used in agriculture field to drive away the weeds. And here the same imagination that the poet puts in his mind, that can I use my own wit, my own wisdom as a sickle to drive that brute off? Brute means beast, and here the poet used this word for toad, and that is used as a metaphor for work or exterior obligations and financial pressure. So in the first stanza, the poet is in very subjective mode, and he is mentioning his own situation. The next stanza starts with the lines, 6 days of the week it soils with its sickening poison just for paying a few bills. That's out of proportion. Before explaining the second stanza, I would like to take notice of all of you that toad in Western culture, toad is used as an omnivorous animal like owl or rat and cat. And toad is toad was also used in witchcraft or the acts of wizards. So here, and again, if we go in the past and if we analyze any work of any writer, any former writer, then we will know that John Milton also used this toad, this animal, this amphibian creature, as an omnivorous animal in Paradise Lost, where in the disguise of Satan, toad whispers in the ear of Eve, and after listening that cruel words, or after listening about the tricky methods, there came the situation when Adam and Eve protest against God. So here we should take notice that toad is also used as an omnivorous animal. Now let's move to the explanation of second stanza. 6 days of the week it soils with its sickening poison just for paying a few bills. Here the poet mentions that this toad force me to work the 6 days of the week continuously, and it soils me with its sickening poison and make me drive to do work continuously. And after that, what is the outcome of this hard work? That after doing this hard work, I can pay the bills, the few bills, and this in input and output, this proportion of input and output is just out of proportion. So here the poet wants to weigh the hard work that he do and what the outcome that he got. The third stanza starts with the lines, lots of folk live on their wits, lectures, lispers, losers, loblollyman, louts, they don't end as paupers. So, in these lines, the poet compare his life to the folk or to the uncommon man of his surroundings. He is saying that many people, many folk people, they live on their wits like lectures. They use their wit to make money. Lispers means some of the ridiculous speakers. They also make money with the use of their wit, with the use of their intelligence. Also, there in the line, in this series of the folks that who live their livelihood on their wit, next comes losers or loblolly men. Loblolly men means the clowns, and louts means the illiterate persons. And next, the poet mentions that they don't end as paupers. The poet says that although the above series of persons like lecturers, lispers means speakers, losers, and the clowns, and also the illiterate person. They all live their life. They all live their livelihood on their wits, but they don't end. Means the end of their life is not like a poor or an almsman. So here the poet gives a full satisfaction of being or of living a life of lecturer or a lesper or a loser or lowly man and the loud, because he is so satisfied that they don't end as almsmen or poor. The fourth stanza start with these lines: lots of folk live up lanes with fires in a bucket, eat windfalls and tint sardines. They seem to like it. Again, in the continuation of the description of these common people's lives, the poet says that lots of folk, lots of people live up lanes, means they don't have shelter on their, they live their life in lanes with fires in a bucket, means with a very few income. They eat windfalls and tinned sardine type of fish, means a very scanty amount of food they eat. They seem to like it, but they seem happy to me. They don't have enough food to eat, they don't have shelter to wear, to live, but all, but after these conditions, after living in these conditions, they live happily. So here the poet is so desperate about his own life, and he compares the work or the work pressure or the financial pressure, the exterior obligations of his life to the simple, to the life of simple folks. And in the next fifth stanza, he, in the continuation of the series, he says that their nippers have got barefoot feet, their unspeakable wives are skinny as whippets, and yet none of them, yet no one actually starves. So, here in these lines, he again mentions the livelihood or the status of these simple folks. He says that they are nippers. Nippers means youngsters or lads. So, the youngsters of these type of peoples, they have got bare feet, means they don't have any middle status, and they live barefooted. Their unspeakable wives, their wives, the wives of those peoples, they are so unspeakable. They are so skinny because of the poor condition. They don't have, if because they don't have any safe shelter, they don't have any good amount or balanced amount of food, so their wives are so skinny as whippet. Whippet is a type of skinny breed of dog. This is a breed of dog that is so skinny to see. And the poet compares it to their wives. He says that their youngsters have got barefoot, their wives are so unescapable, and they are as skinny as whippet, and yet no one actually starves. Likewise, in the third uh, stanza, where he ends with the third stanza with the line, they don't end as paupers. In the same pattern, the fifth stanza, that he ends with the line, and yet no one actually starve. This is a very remarkable and striking ending of this fifth stanza, where after mentioning the very humble situation, the very poor condition of these types of people, these type of simple folk, the poet gives a very positive remark that no one actually starves, means none of them actually die with starvation. So here the poet is so pathetic, so melancholic mood, and he compares his life to the simple folk. Their livelihood is he makes a comparison to their livelihood. And in the next remaining stanzas, what the poet discuss, we will explain, we will read in the next video. So that's all about today, students. Thank you all.